Does anybody else feel a draft? Hello, Artemir the Violet Wizard here, and welcome back to the Pokemon SoulSilver Nuzlocke. Last time we took care of Team Rocket once and for all, putting a stop to their plans in Goldenrod City, and we started making progress into the next main chunk of the game, which is going to be heading off to Blackthorn City, the site of our final gym battle in the Johto region. So yeah, this is going to be an interesting session. I don't actually know if we are going to fight the next gym leader that we need to in order to move forward in this game this session, but we're definitely going to do our best in order to succeed here. Definitely have a lot of stuff we still need to clear up in the last couple of areas in Johto before we can truly start the end game on this adventure. But it's certainly been a wild ride. What are you calling about, Beverly? Alright, just kind of the usual kind of call. So before we set off into the next area, I want to talk about a few things that had happened in between preparing for this session. As a few interesting things did happen. First of all, like, right before we start, right before I stopped playing this game after recording the last session, I got a call from Dana on Route 38. And she called because she wanted to give me a Thunderstone, which is obviously the item that she's able to give you. So, nice that we have one of these. Could be pretty helpful if we run into a Pikachu or an Eevee as a potential encounter down the line. Although at this point, I don't know if we are going to encounter one. And then one other thing that we managed to get... Aww. Don't worry, Sparkles. You're plenty fluffy enough to keep warm. Yeah, one other thing I did was I checked the items that her mother had sent to the department store for us, and one of the items that she sent was the muscle band. Yeah, I checked earlier, and turns out this is the second to last of the items that she is able to send us besides sending us berries. So we're getting very close to using all of our mother services. But yeah, Muscle Band is a real good item. It boosts the power of your Pokemon's physical attacks, so I felt like it'd be very nice to have on Sparkles for now. Alright, before we set off into this next area, I do want to note that before going into this area, you do want to have a Pokemon with strength in your party, which is why I have brought Squeaks along for this leg of the adventure. Which will certainly suit Scarab a bit. He's certainly been putting in a lot of work for our team, so he deserves a little break. With that said, it is time to press onward. Ice Path. Oh boy, I have quite the history with this area. What I definitely want to do while we're in here is try to use the dowsing machine, as there should be a lot of hidden items we can find around here. As well as our catch for this area, which is not a Zoomerol because I already had you as a previous Pokemon. Yeah, this is why I've been focusing on evolving a lot of my Pokemon in my PC in between sessions. It's very good so that I don't end up with redundant catches, like this thing. But yeah, we have a lot to see around here, so it's going to be pretty interesting. So don't know what else we're going to have for our potential catches for the remainder of this game. I mean, it's probably not going to be anything too crazy going forward, given what we've already encountered. Sure, we'll take a picture with Cameron here. Certainly been a while. Say Frostbite! Alright, thanks for that, buddy. Yeah, we only got a couple more routes in the Johto region for us to get encounters on, so it's going to be interesting to see what we get. Donphan, that is another Pokemon that we had previously obtained, having evolved it from the Phanpy that I had caught in a previous area. We're definitely running into a lot of repeats right now, which I guess is fairly fitting. If you're playing Vanilla Heart Gold and Soul Silver, this area, the Ice Path, is where you're likely to encounter your first wild Ice-type Pokemon, as there are quite a few again in this area, like Swinub, Sneasel, even Jinx. A lot of very neat Pokemon you can find in this area. And also some hidden items. Odd Incense. So I believe that is the incense that can boost the damage of Psychic-type attacks and also enables you to breed Mime Junior eggs, which can be very nice if you're looking to fill up your Pokedex. Now, this segment here, the main gimmick of the Ice Path is that we have icy floors, which you need to slide across in a certain way in order to move through this area. It's very much built very closely to how things worked in Price's gym. So yeah, this area definitely has quite a bit. And speaking of things defined in this area, we actually got an HM here, Waterfall. This one is one we're not going to teach to anyone for the time being, but it is going to be useful to us. It's a pretty powerful physical water type attack, so if you have like a Gyarados or Crawdon you want to teach that to, it could be a very good move for them to have. If we go over here, the item you picked up over there, it was an HM, wasn't it? I'm the one who dropped it, but I want you to keep it. You took the time to get it, right? It contains Waterfall. Have fun climbing waterfalls. Me, I still need a new pair of shoes before I can enjoy waterfalls. Now, since this move is an HM, that means that we are going to need to beat one more gym before we can actually use this one. Specifically, we need to beat the Blackthorn gym in order to be able to use this move. Well, it was about time we were going to run into this thing. Bidoof. You know what? Let's just use a repeat ball on this thing and see what happens. Yeah, it was about time we finally ran into this thing as a potential encounter. Bidoof is pretty much the Rattata of the Sinnoh region, and contrary to how its appearance would suggest, actually pretty useful. Not only is it one of the best HM users you can obtain in the game because it learns like so many different attacks, yeah, but it also learns some pretty interesting moves by level up, which, when paired with its abilities, could be pretty useful to you. It also evolves into a normal water type when it evolves, which could be pretty nice for you. So we need a name for you, so, like, first thing that came to mind here is Splinter. Feel like it's pretty fitting given that you are a beaver. Well, you'll eventually turn into a beaver. Alright, so that was a pretty nice encounter there. Nice to get some more Pokemon off our potential list of encounters. Because, not gonna lie, probably not gonna see Splinter getting used in this run. We've already got a lot of Pokemon as options, and definitely some ones that are better than what we get from using Bidoof. So want to be careful in this area. So I recommended having a Pokemon with strength, because we got a couple of puzzles on this floor. So the gimmick with this section of the Ice Path, because yeah, there are a lot of puzzles in this area, surprisingly. In this area, you want to push around these boulders, and you want to push them into the holes on the floor, as that will send the boulders careening down to the level below, where they're able to... where they're gonna serve as a useful tool for making our way for this area. Well, definitely glad I caught Bidoof and not this thing, because Sorry to all you Skitty fans out there, but I don't really like Skitty that much. I mean, it's certainly a cute Pokemon, but it is just so bad to use. Like, I don't recommend using a Skitty unless you're doing, like, a challenge run where you're purposefully using underpowered Pokemon. Yeah, this area is certainly a cool one with the amount of puzzles that they have here. Just want to be very careful when moving the boulders so that you do not put them in a spot where you are no longer able to push them. Luckily, there are 2 sets of stairs that you can use in order to reset your position, as well as the position of the boulders in this area, but just try your best not to knock them down somewhere you don't want them to be. So for this one, want to push you this way. Oh, come on, we almost got this one. Whoa, Golem! That is a pretty powerful one we got here. And given the kind of attacks this thing could know, I'm just gonna get out of there immediately. Really don't want to have to switch one of my Pokemon in when we're fighting a Pokemon that could potentially go boom boom. So the last thing I need right now is to lose another Pokemon in this run. It's already been very long since we had our first death of this run. Doing pretty good at keeping our Pokemon standing. Alright, but with that, we push down the last of the 4 boulders on this floor. So we can see here the boulders we pushed down, and we can use those as a little bit of a stepping stone in order for us to maneuver through this area. There's a lot of different... Well, this area is one where you do need to maneuver a specific way if you're going to complete this area. And what you're definitely looking for is to use the boulders that you knock down to be able to get your way over here. Yeah, go ahead and pick up our Paralyze Heal. We've already got plenty of medicine at this point. We're not hurting on money, but, you know, still nice to come across a couple of nice medicine items. Wow, Dugong. That is actually a pretty fitting Pokemon to encounter down here, as Dugong are water ice. It's always been a Pokemon I wish I liked more. I mean, it's kind of cute looking, but it is easily just my least favorite of the Kanto Pokemon. Like, really nothing against it, just kind of underpowered and generic compared to a lot of other Pokemon. Like, that thing was introduced to the same generation as Cloyster and Lapras, so it is already struggling in order to set itself apart from other water ice types. Over here we get a Hyper Potion. I believe this is the room where you would normally be able to pick up Never Melt Ice, which is definitely a good item to grab here. You have nothing much else to do here. Yeah, this is definitely a pretty lengthy dungeon. And while we're going through here in the ice path, I feel like it'd be nice to mention... Well, nice is a very interesting way of phrasing this, but I've already said this before during my gold streams. Ooh, Shadow Claw. We normally would have obtained that as soon as we had access to Ekritique, but it only took us until this long to get it. Very good move. It is a physical ghost type attack, and it is able to be taught to a lot of Pokemon. Pretty much most Pokemon that have claws are able to use Shadow Claw, making it really indispensable if you need a coverage move on your Pokemon. But yeah, what I wanted to mention before being distracted by that, Ice Path is an area that is pretty infamous for me specifically. Because back as a kid, when I was originally playing Pokemon Gold in those days, I really had a difficult time working my way around ice puzzles, and especially in this area, it was really bad. Like, I could not get past the first floor of this area as a kid. So I was never able to beat Pokemon Gold when I was young. It was only after I obtained Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver that I was able to actually get through this area and actually complete my first Johto journey. So yeah, this area is definitely very infamous for me specifically. It's an area I've had a very negative experience with, despite the fact that it's honestly not too bad, and the puzzles here you can get through pretty easily. At least if you are aware of how the old solutions work. Alright, Nature Power here turns to Rock Slide. I thought it would be cool if it could, like, turn into Avalanche or Blizzard or something, given that this is an ice-themed area, but I guess it still counts as a cavern, so that's what they're going with Nature Power. I don't even think you can pull an Ice-type move with Nature Power. Not unless you're in certain areas in Pokemon Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum, I believe, as those are the areas that have snowy routes to them. Alright, now this area is a bit interesting with the puzzle we need to do here. We just need to push this boulder down like one space, and then want to slide across the ice here in order to reach this item. Black Sludge. That is a very interesting item. So the deal with Black Sludge, it kind of works like the item Leftovers, in that it can heal the Pokemon that's holding it. However, the Black Sludge will only heal Pokemon that are Poison type. If any other type of Pokemon holds that item, they will take damage at the end of every turn. So it's definitely a pretty interesting item with different utility. You could use it on your Poison Pokemon to give them added bulk and utility in battle. Or it could be an item that you can switch onto your opponent's Pokemon in order to be able to hamper them. Certainly it has a lot of utility to it. Could be very useful. And we got a full restore. Pretty nice. As we can see over here, we're not alone in the cavern. Me oh my, is that you, July? Fancy meeting you here. To tell the truth, my sandals are frozen on the ice and I'm stuck here. In other words, my flip-flops are quick frozen with the ground. Well, it's no laughing matter. Would you push my back? Sure thing. Shove. You really are kind. Thank you so much. And with that, we have had another encounter with a Kimono Girl. So that currently makes 5 Kimono Girls we have interacted with over the course of the game, which matches up with the number of Kimono Girls that were in the original Gold and Silver. How intriguing. Also, how dare you taunt me? Dusclops we probably could have had at this point if we were able to keep Lydia alive. But sadly, that is not how this run went. But by helping out that Kimono Girl, we have finally reached the end and made it to Blackthorn City. Wow, you came for the ice path? You must be a real hotshot trainer. I mean, my starter was a fire monkey, so... But yeah, this is the last town in our Johto journey. And the site of our final gym battle for this portion of the run. There's a lot we can see around here, so let's do as much as we can now. Woo, voices in my head! Listen to my radio. Okay, good to know it's that and not you being, schizophrenic. Alright, let's heal up even though we really didn't take a whole lot of damage when we were in that cave. But it's just nice to get the team healed up. So for the next thing I want to do... Alright, since we're all done with that cave, we're not going to need a strength Pokemon for the time being. So... Ooh, Storm Drain on Splinter. That's interesting, as that draws in Water-type attacks. I don't believe it absorbs damage, so that's not going to give us an immunity in this generation. But that's still kind of cool. I mean, you're going to evolve immediately, so it's not going to be important. Alright, how about we put Squeaks back in the box for now. I swear, some of the box functions in this game. Get in there, Squeaks. Alright, for the next area here, I want a Pokemon with Fly. So, how about we bring Kentucky in for a bit? I also just like to show that I have leveled up a few more Pokemon that we have in the box. So, Quincy, we caught in the last session, is now evolved. And there's a few Pokemon we trained up as well. So Cookie's now a Pidgeot. And I also evolved Roarim, our Bronzor, as about time we did that. So now we have 2 Bronzong. Fascinating. But yeah, training was doing pretty well. Yeah, next area, definitely want a Pokemon with Fly. So Kentucky's gonna get a chance to shine around here. I mean, of course they're gonna shine, he's made of fire. Alright, let's talk to the locals. They say that behind the Pokemon gym's a special cave for gym leaders to train themselves. Could be interesting to look into. Deep inside Far Off Indigo Plateau is the Pokemon League. I hear the best trainers gather there from around the country. Fascinating. There was this move I just had to teach my Pokemon, so I got the mood deleter and make it forget an ancient move. This is definitely something we want to look into in this area. Do we have any items we need to sell at the mart? Actually, yeah, we have a big mushroom. Red Shard we can take to the Juggler in Violet City in order to get some things. Let's see what we can get here. Well, I already know what we're getting here. Money. And that should be all. We got a second clerk here in this mart, and you sell netballs and dusk balls. Netballs kind of work like the lure balls we can get from Kurt, only they're effective on water and bug-type Pokemon, which could be pretty helpful to us. Just nice having a Pokeball that specializes in a certain type of Pokemon. Definitely helps them stand out. You're gonna make your Pokemon forget some moves? I mean, really haven't taught too many HMs to a Pokemon, although I can think of one that we're probably going to need to forget an HM with. Your quest for power has brought you here. Very well. Let me reward your passion with some absolutely astounding moves. They're the ultimate moves. Shall I teach of your Pokemon? So this house is pretty interesting. We can use this area to affect our Pokemon's movesets in a certain way. With this particular NPC, I think we want to try to teach Sunamu. I should teach Blast Burn to your Infernape. Oh, we could totally do this. So this this guy's able to teach some very powerful signature moves to any one of your starter Pokemon. As long as they are the starters from the Kanto, Johto, Hoenn, and Sinnoh regions, they're able to learn some pretty interesting attacks. Each one of them is an elemental attack that is basically just another variant on Hyper Beam. Very powerful moves, but with lower accuracy, and your Pokemon will have to rest after the move is used. But they are still really darn good. In this case here, we're able to get Blast Burn because we have a Fire-type starter. The other moves you can get are Frenzy Plant with a grass starter and Hydro Cannon with a water starter. You bet I am going to teach Blast Burn to our Infernape, as that's going to be a really good desperation attack if I just really need this powerful move. And could be worth it to also give you some... to give some PP to that attack, just so we have some extra uses of this move in battle. It's not really going to be that necessary, but it could help us in the future. Also want to show that I use a few of our PP ups in order to get more PP to close combat, as that is easily going to be one of Sun's most useful attacks going forward.
Oh, they call me Grandma Wilma. I sense a slight talent as a dragon tamer in you. Would you like me to teach a move to one of your Pokémon?
We could try.
I like your sense of adventure. However, none of the Pokémon with you now can learn the move.
So Grandma Wilma here is an interesting NPC. She first appeared in Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum, and she's able to teach your Pokemon the move Draco Meteor, which is a very powerful Dragon-type move that has the downside of lowering the user's special attack after it gets used. So it's also kind of a desperation move, where the first time you use it, it is at its peak power, but subsequent uses of it will be less powerful. The thing with Draco Meteor, though, is that this move can only be learned by Dragon-type Pokemon, and we currently do not have one. Yet. So she's going to be useless to us. If we go over here, I'm the Pokemon Move Maniac. I know every move that Pokemon learn while they're leveling up, and I can make Pokemon remember those moves. I can make a Pokemon of yours remember a move if you like, but it'll cost ya. I'll make a Pokemon remember a move if you'll trade me a Heart Scale. So this guy's why you want to try to collect Heart Scales. They are pretty elusive items, but definitely worth it, as a lot of Pokemon are able to gain special unique moves, specifically if you bring them to this NPC. And hello, Master Starman, welcome to the stream. And yeah, if only... who to say it was again? Oh yes, I remember now, I'm the move deleter. You kinda make me force your Pokemon to forget some moves? Not right now. So this NPC is definitely very useful. This guy is the move deleter. The only way that you're able to make Pokemon forget HM moves in the entire game. Definitely very helpful if you're looking to free up space in a Pokemon's moveset and get rid of unneeded HM moves. Which, at this point, we only have a few more uses of certain moves in the game, so it could be pretty useful to go to him. Thankfully, for the time being, none of my main Pokemon have a lot of bad HM moves I want to forget. With the exception of, like, Snorkel and Whirlpool, but we're definitely going to need that some more. So, yeah, we'll definitely keep them in mind for later. A clan of trainers who can freely command Dragon-type Pokemon lives right here in Blackthorn. As a result, there are many legends about dragons in this town. Yeah, this area is definitely tied strongly to Dragon-type Pokemon. I've already alluded to this before, but most Dragon-type Pokemon are revered as some of the strongest regular Pokemon that can be obtained in the game. Those trainers called Dragon Tamers are all from Blackthorn City. Dragon Pokemon are also pretty elusive and only able to be obtained in certain areas. And around here is actually an area where, in the base game of Heart Gold and SoulSilver, you can acquire some wild dragon types. Clair, our gym leader, is waiting for you. However, it would be impossible for run-of-the-mill trainer to win. Yeah, that's definitely a good point to make. Want to definitely prepare for this. It's Saturday. I'm Santos of Saturday. Take this. So I found another one of these special day trainers. This one giving us Soft Sand. Soft Sand. Ground type moves get strong. It'll startle you. I would give that to Sahara, but for the time being, I think the Shell Bell is going to be a bit more useful to her. But yeah, definitely nice to pick that up there. So an interesting fact about Santos is that the item he gives you is different depending on which version of the Johto games you're playing. If you're playing the original Gold and Silver, he will give you the Spell Tag, which boosts the damage of Ghost-type moves. However, here in Heart Gold and SoulSilver, they change it to the Soft Sand, which kind of makes the slow way that he's talking kind of unfitting. No, only chosen trainers may train here. Please leave. Dragon's Den ahead. Yeah, we can definitely tell this area has a lot of reverence when it comes to Dragon-type Pokemon, and only those that are seen as worthy of training them are able to enter their sacred areas. So we do have a pond here in Blackthorn. So how about we take some time to fish out a potential encounter? Still a lot of things we could see, so it'd be nice to check. Okay, on the one hand, that's a pretty cool encounter to get at this point. On the other hand, it's one of our low priority Pokemon. So one that I'm not really going to have a good chance of using in this run. We're going to do Weaken You. I'm pretty sure we use Nature Power now. That will result in a Water-type attack. Yeah, let's go for it. Hydro Pump? Damn, Dottie bringing out the fire hose on this thing. Ooh, almost took it out. So yeah, this is our first chance of actually catching a wild starter Pokemon. Ooh, this is actually pretty cool. What are we gonna do? Starter Pokemon tend to have very low catch rates, but I want to see if we can get this in a friend ball because it just matches its color scheme so well. Oh, it shook 3 times. God, that reminds me of that time I encountered Entei while I was training up our Pokemon, and it managed to shake 3 times before breaking out of the quick ball I used on it. Come on, Chikorita, you're like barely hanging in there. And of course this thing has Poison Powder. So while we're trying to catch this little thing, do you think I want to note, the Chikorita family has kind of a negative reputation in the community because of the fact that it just happened to be the starter Pokemon for the Johto region if you choose the grass option. Because in the base game of Gold, Silver, and the remakes, grass Pokemon tend to struggle in a lot of the important battles. Got it. Because none of the gym leaders really use Pokemon that grass types are really that effective against. Besides like a few battles, like Chuck has a Poliwrath that it would actually be pretty useful for, but yeah, a whole lot of the gyms don't really complement it very well. Despite that, I did use the Chikorita line in my previous Gold streams, so definitely showed that this thing can be used pretty well. Alright, so for your name, I'm thinking we'll call you... what was I gonna call you again? Let's call you Arugula. That is a type of vegetation. Don't worry, Dottie, we'll get you healed up. Just a little poison. Sadly, this is not one of the generations where grass types are immune to poison. I mean, to powder moves. That's alright, only took a little bit of damage from that thing. I guess we could check Chikorita's ability, but it's probably not going to be anything that's going to be really useful to us. Yeah, especially because this thing is going to be... Really, it has Snow Mail. That's a particularly interesting thing you got there. Also, you have Storm Drain. Wow, really, another Storm Drain Pokemon. Alright, let's move you over to our Infamy box, because that is one of our low priority encounters. So yeah, pretty interesting find, but of course the first starter Pokemon we have the chance to capture is one that we had previously used in one of our older Pokemon sessions. Yep, that's about everything we can do in Blackthorn City for the time being, besides, you know, challenging the gym. Not going to do that anytime soon, as you can imagine. We got ourselves a tough battle ahead, and given what Claire's team usually has, yeah, I am not expecting an easy battle here. Last couple of gyms have been pretty easy, but this one I definitely know is going to give us a challenge. So let us head south and head to Route 45. This is a pretty interesting area, but also an area that can be a little frustrating to navigate, which is why I wanted to bring Kentucky with us, as he has the ability to fly. Oh, we're getting a call from Ralph. What's this about? Oh, he's challenging us to a battle. I have been getting a lot of calls from some people asking us for rematches lately, ever since we took out Team Rocket, so could be interesting for us to do in order to train up our team. God, right when I was complaining about us not getting good encounters with grass types here, we get this. Screw it, let's go for Nature Power again. Seed Bomb 2 damage. Good. That should definitely do enough for you. Alright, Turtwig. One of my personal favorites. This one could be pretty interesting. Turtwig, as I have explained before during my Platinum streams, is quite the interesting Pokemon. Mostly a physical attacker, as well as a physical tank that eventually becomes a grass ground type when it evolves. And just real good. I love it a lot. God, we got 2 starter Pokemon in a row in this session. That is pretty dang good. Alright, so what are we going to name our little turtle here? We'll call you Snapper. And with that, we actually have another starter option that is that we can actually use, because I've not previously used the Turtwig family in one of my streams. Oh man, that's so good. Also with that, that means that in just 2 different games, I have now acquired one of each of the Sinnoh starters, which is quite cool. Cargo. Yeah, I'm not keen on using Dottie against this thing. This would certainly be a nice opponent to gain experience off of, at least. Some of the Pokemon here are a bit higher level than the ones we have previously seen, but not really by much, as they're mostly in the mid-20s. But the trainers around here should give us some nice experience as well. Yeah, for the entirety of the Ice Path, there isn't a single encounter with a trainer in that dungeon. Ooh, a Deep Sea Tooth. That's cool. So that is the other item that can be used to evolve Clamperl into Huntail. Yeah, it does kind of feel that way, doesn't it, Starman? Yeah, all because this thing is so hard to find back in base Gold and Silver, because you only are able to catch it in the post-game. Meanwhile, it is so much more common in the Hoenn region than it is in Gen 2. So yeah, we're probably not going to get too many levels to prepare ourselves for the gym coming up, but we are going to want to take out as many of the trainers on this route as we can, which means, unfortunately, we're going to have to make multiple trips through this area. Yeah, this route is rather infamous just because there are so many ledges in this area, and you can't really backtrack easily in this area unless you have a Pokemon with Fly to get back to Blackthorn City. But what is nice about this area is that there are quite a few trainers that can actually be registered into your Pokegear. So it could be a nice opportunity to get some potential rematches. And these people do use some pretty powerful Pokemon, so that can be useful to you. Definitely get some good experience yields from them. We got you over there, but I'll focus on you when we do another run of this area. So yep, I believe in total you want to go down this route at least 3 times if you're looking to get every possible thing in this area. Yeah, there's a lot you gotta do, unfortunately. There's a lot of battles and a lot of items to pick up. So, in the meantime, while we're just clearing up this area and training up for the gym, what are some other things that we can talk about? Well, I'm pretty excited for the weekend here, as I got the next 2 days off, which is certainly very nice for me. I've mostly been spending this day doing a couple chores around the house, and I was able to get done quite a few things I've been meaning to do, namely with laundry, just making sure that my clothes are all clean, which they are now. And then I also am getting our towels cleaned. Yeah, certainly go through a lot of dirty things when you're living in a household with 2 guys in it, you know? But yep, our towels should all be ready once we are done with this session. So we'll get all that taken care of in a bit. And besides that, just been kind of taking it easy. And especially been preparing for this session, as I knew we'd be getting through a lot here. So I haven't really had too much time to play games today, but definitely want to get on that in a bit. I mean, I did do a bit more Animal Crossing City Folk, as I'm still focusing on trying to complete that game. Definitely on my bucket list. Ooh, found a wild water stone. Alright, that's good. Means we don't have to make a trip to the Pokémon Dome when I'm looking to evolve another Pokemon. God, we're getting so many volcano slugs in this area. But yeah, I'm also excited about some other stuff I'm going to be doing in a bit. As a lot of games have come out in this week that I am really looking forward to getting through. So I think tomorrow I'm going to head to this store and pick up a copy of Super Mario Bros. Wonder, as I've just heard nothing but good things about this game, and I am so excited to get to play it for myself. Because everyone's been talking about how this is just such a fresh version of the... just such a new and fresh look on the Mario series, and yeah, I'm very excited for it. But gonna move away from that topic to show that we picked up choice specs. This is another really good item. So it works like the choice scarf we received earlier, except this one will boost your Pokemon's special attack. Could be really useful in the near future if we're looking to really get a good boost against certain battles. Which, given what we're up against very soon, could be pretty useful to us. Have you heard of a place called the Battle Frontier? Huge place with many battle facilities located west of Olivine City. Let's see, if you manage to win all the way up for the Pokemon League, you might want to try it. Oh boy, the Battle Frontier. Definitely talk about that place once we get to it. But I'm not going to show off the Battle Frontier in this game because it's pretty much a carbon copy of the one from Platinum, and I've already dedicated at least 5 sessions of that playthrough to doing the Battle Frontier, so not going to cover it in this playthrough, but I am acknowledging that it does exist. And it plays pretty much the same as it does in Platinum, so yep, just no surprises you need to worry about. Yeah, I am honestly pretty concerned with how this next battle's gonna go. It's like, in vanilla, Heart Gold and Soul Silver, like, the next gym battle is easily one of the toughest battles to go through in the main game. And I really do not know how this is going to go here, given that with the way that I am randomized the trainer battles, we're definitely going to see some tough opponents when we go in there. And just depending on how things go, it's going to be a tough one. We're definitely going to fight for our lives here, which, given the challenge run we're doing, is very, very literal. Vulpix, you're a fire type, but you're not necessarily that strong compared to Dottie. We should easily handle you. Yep, there we go. See, I have to talk about some other stuff that I've been excited about lately. A couple days ago, I picked up Sonic Superstars, specifically the PC version, which has its own little faults I'll eventually get to talking about when I eventually stream it. But, yep, so far I'm enjoying the game. I've only played like 4 zones of the game so far, as I've been preoccupied with a few other priorities. But I'm still liking the game, and very excited to jump back into it and eventually finish it up. Because I do intend to eventually stream it here, as it will feel like a nice follow-up to my previous playthrough of Sonic Mania that I did here a few years back. But yeah, kind of talking about that a bit more, I've definitely been thinking of some of the games that I'm going to be doing once we are finished up with this leg of the SoulSilver Nuzlocke. Because I don't think I've really mentioned it at this point, but after we take out the Pokemon League in this game, I'm going to be taking a break from SoulSilver so that we can focus on some other games. Because we've already almost played through an entire game here, and it's definitely been a lot of sessions we have dedicated to SoulSilver, and I want to keep things fresh. This game is definitely not as breezy as our previous Pokemon Gold streams were, as you can obviously tell. So, yeah, that's going to be my priorities going forward. Going to finish up the first half of SoulSilver, and then moving on to some other stuff I want to do, which should be very interesting. I've already got the next couple of games I want to do planned, and I definitely want to return to Super Mario RPG sometime soon, as definitely taking a bit of a hiatus from that game, and it'd be nice to return to it and eventually finish it up. I'm probably going to wait until after I've started playing through the remake of that game later this year before I jump back into it. But it will be nice to eventually get back to playing through Mario RPG. Especially because... what was I going to say here? I guess one other thing that I can mention, just with the current progress we're making in this game, since we're drawing very close to the end game of, oh, we could have gotten Dratini here, that would have been so good too. So yeah, go figure that we finally encounter a Dragon type in this area specifically. With the current pace that we're going through our SoulSilver Nuzlocke, we should actually be finished with the Pokemon League in a few weeks. And it's definitely going to be a lot closer than I was expecting, because the next couple of weeks I got a lot of good days off from work. So if all goes well, we should be finishing up the SoulSilver Nuzlocke in early November. And by finish off the Nuzlocke, I obviously mean the first half of the Nuzlocke, because we are eventually going to do Kanto. It's just going to be a little while. So in terms of some other stuff that's been going on, very recently another game that was released was Spider-Man 2, which obviously is a follow-up to the previous Spider-Man game that was on the PS4 quite a few years back. And just from what I've seen from that game in both trailers and from the few streams that I caught about it, it definitely looks like a good time. Yeah, just last night I was watching Penny Parker from the channel Snaps Cube playing a bit of the game, and oh man, it just looks so freaking good. Like, just easily one of the best superhero games that we have gotten in recent years. And just very cool seeing the story continue from the previous game. Especially because I was also watching Penny play through with the Spider-Man game that was originally released on PS4 years back, and yeah, just a really good time playing through that, and just getting to see that game's full story for myself. Yeah, Insomniac really does have a good reputation so far in the gaming community when it comes to the games that they have put out. And it's definitely the case with the Spider-Man games, from what I've seen. If anyone is familiar with the Batman Arkham games, they definitely play pretty similar to that, except, you know, with web-slinging mechanics. And yeah, just... it's been pretty cool getting to see the streams of those games, especially with a lot of the story beats that they have gone through, because, yeah, it was my first time getting to see a lot of the story events of that game from the recent streams that I've seen, and not gonna lie, I cried at a lot of the endgame stuff in the first Insomniac Spider-Man game. And not going too much into it, but they just really pulled off a lot of the stuff there just really good. They just hit so many emotional beats, especially with the conflict between Peter and one of the main antagonists of that game. Not going to spoil it, but they just did such a phenomenal job building up that conflict and the relationship between both hero and villain. And it is truly something that should be admired. It's just such an incredible experience to get to see unfold. This guy's got his priorities straight. Oh yeah, I highly recommend it, Starman. It is just a phenomenal game, if you're able to get it running well. Yeah, definitely been feeling a lot of that recently. So definitely been playing a lot of games recently myself, where between going through Sonic Superstars I mentioned, I've also been going back to Animal Crossing City Folk. So I've also been doing some Super Mystery Dungeon and Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth. Had a lot of priorities lately that have been all over the place. But, you know, it's good to keep everything stimulated, you know? Best thing ever to happen to me was discovering Pokemon. You and me both, buddy. Through the good times and the bad. Been very happy to be a part of this series. Of course, you gotta put me to sleep. Yeah, Snorkel's not really gonna do good against the Gloom here. So how about we bust out our main man's son? Getting to see our Infernape in all his glory here, just so good. Especially had a lot of fun drawing the art for him, which you can obviously see scrolling along the left side of the screen here. You know what? Let's test out our new move. Blast that flower! So yeah, that move is definitely one of Sun's strongest. Very powerful, but at the cost of us not being able to act in the next turn. Which is definitely going to cause some problems for us, given that we are playing this game in set mode. So we're definitely going to want to keep that in mind for later. It's definitely a move that's going to be useful for ending a battle, rather than it is making progress in a battle. And of course, there's an apricorn tree on this route. This gives us green apricorns, which is something that we have already encountered plenty of throughout this game. So, doesn't really feel all that useful to us compared to some of the other items we have seen. Alright, we're back at the end of the route now, which means, once again, it is time to fly. Yeah, that is a lot of stuff to get through there, man. Yeah, for me, whenever I want to get started on a new video game to play, usually it's going to be like my main priority when it comes to gaming. And I definitely want to focus all my attention on that one whenever I get started on a new game. So it certainly helped carry me through a lot of big adventures that I've been on recently, like with Xenoblade 3 and Tears of the Kingdom, Pikmin 4, and soon to be Super Mario Bros. Wonder. But we still got plenty of time in the year, so you can get a decent chunk of those done. Some of those are pretty big, though, like... Yep, obviously, Tears of the Kingdom is massive. Kingdom Hearts 2 and Symphonia? Yeah, that is a lot of stuff to get through. But good luck with that. No, there's definitely a lot of really good games you're focusing on, so here's hoping. Alright, Snorkel got to level 37 here. So I'm very hopeful that we're going to get to see a certain thing happening here. Let's take care of this Electrode. Finish up this fight here. Hopefully this one won't go boom on us, but even if it did, like, obviously Sahara would be able to tank the hit. She's so big and beefy. Oh yeah, that's also satisfying too, being able to fully heal the damage we take from an opponent with our held item. So good. Nope, not happening yet. Don't worry, Snorkel, one day. Yeah, thanks for that, man. Kinda cool to see that NPC using an Aerodactyl. Pretty elusive Pokemon, but one that is also really dang powerful if you get the chance to use one. So, thinking about some other stuff that is going on. Later today, I'm really excited to tune into a stream on Salty DK Dan's channel, as he's going to be finishing up his streams of the game Ghost Trick, which is definitely a game that's been on my radar recently just because of how cool and unique it is, and just getting to see the plot unfold with the game just so cool. Like, so many twists and turns, and has a very cool gameplay loop of being able to manipulate the environment with ghost powers. God, it's going to be so cool when I eventually play that for myself. And it will be on my radar when it comes to games I do want to stream at some point. It's going to be a while before we get to it, but I'm definitely looking forward to doing it. Yo, you're tough. You know what? When it comes to sheer toughness, I'm the man. Yeah, let's see what you got, bucko. Michael. Alright, only a few more battles here, and then we pretty much just got one last area to explore in the Johto region before we can do the gym. So, yep, we're steadily running out of things for us to do here. Yeah, I feel like it would be not exactly the most entertaining thing to also watch us grind levels before this battle, even though I definitely have the resources able to mitigate the grind a little bit. But yeah, I think we should be fine with the next battle, even if we are a little under-leveled for it. I'm just worried because I know that we're going to get some tough opponents here. But managed to make it this far, so might be able to make it through. So we are just about done here. Just want to do one last sweep of this area, and then we should be done with this route. Yeah, I also know that I'm talking a lot about how dangerous I feel the next gym is gonna be. And you're probably thinking, well, don't you have a legendary Pokemon? Can't you use that in the gym? Yeah, I could. But you know, this is a challenge run, you know, and I want to have some challenge. So, yeah, for the time being, Kentucky is not a priority when it comes to which Pokemon we're using. Alright, with that, it looks like we have cleared up everything we can do on Route 45. Definitely a nice run of this area. However, we are still not done with what we can do here. Looking at our options right now. Yep, we should be good for this next area. I don't expect we're going to need a whole lot for this part. So let us switch Kentucky out. Thick fat on our snapping turtle. Ooh, Jolly's actually a really good nature for you, so that's nice. Let's get Scarab back in, since he has been out of the team for a little while this session. It'd be nice to get him some additional experience before the gym. Man, I am really proud of the team we managed to construct for this run. Still got a lot to do, but I'm quite excited. Okay, I can see the Pokelink is kind of messing up here. I think it should fix itself once we get into a battle or something. Alright, but what I want to do is head over this way. Look what we got here. Dark Cave. An area we have already visited plenty of times during this run. So yep, the Dark Cave even connects over here. Alright, so in the part of Dark Cave that is only accessible from going to Blackthorn City, there's quite a lot we can do on this section of the cave. So we're going to quickly run through this area and nab as many collectibles as we can. There could be a lot that could be useful to us. Some interesting things to note about this area is that this floor of Dark Cave is one of the few places in the game you can actually run into wild Wobbuffet, which are definitely interesting Pokemon to encounter for a variety of reasons. For one, if you're doing a Nuzlocke run, you definitely do not want to encounter Wobbuffet, so those Pokemon are brutal to deal with. Ooh, Dragon Scale! So that is an item we normally wouldn't be able to pick up until after clearing the... until after gaining the ability to use the... until gaining Waterfall. That is a pretty neat item. This is the hold item that you need to give to Seadra in order to make it able to evolve. However, in order for it to fully evolve, you do need to trade it. For the time being, it's not really going to do anything for us, but how about we just give it to Snorkel to hold as a good luck charm? Yeah, I'm quite surprised we managed to pick up that particular item right now. Yeah, if only, am I right? Luckily, the Pokemon Randomizer does give us the ability to adjust certain evolution requirements for Pokemon, so we're not going to have to worry about any of that anytime soon. And hello there, Javier! Welcome to the stream. So yep, we got 2 Scarabs right now, don't worry about that. Yep, but just been doing a little bit of progress in the last couple of areas in the Johto region we can explore before a final gym battle. So yeah, we definitely got a few more battles to do, some more Pokemon to level up before we do this next challenge. Yeah, it is certainly helpful if you manage to get able to do that. Alright, so we do need Surf to progress in this area, so I'm hoping we don't need to bring Strength in here. Ooh, Rolls! That's another Pokemon line I haven't used yet in any of my streams, but at some point I do want to use one eventually. I just don't really have a game planned for using one. Although I can't think of one potential one we could do. But that one's also an interesting case, because chances are we're going to do a Nuzlocke run of that game when we eventually get to it. But yeah, we definitely have a lot of time to plan things out. I do have some of the teams I'm going to use for our future Pokemon playthroughs already planned, which is certainly very nice, just being able to get all that out of the way. And I am definitely hoping that those playthroughs go well. Butterfree. Chances are you do not have a very strong flying attack here, so we should be good. Like I was actually gonna be worried about that. Thus, this area in the Dark Cave, you do want to be careful, because there are some ledges here that will lock you out of being able to access the upper levels of this area. So definitely be careful when you're exploring here in the dark. And with that said, make sure you have a Pokemon with Flash to be able to actually navigate in the dark corridors. Oh really, we can run into Wild Dratini here too. Man, we're just encountering a lot of dragon types around Blackthorn, aren't we? Which is very fitting. But at the same time, it's also kind of a tease, you know? Ooh, what do we got here? TM4 Swagger. That's an interesting move. It causes the target to be confused, but also buffs the target's attack stat 2 stages, which could definitely be a bit of a pain. It's certainly been a move that has screwed over one potential Pokemon I was using in a run before, and it could give you some trouble too. It also pairs nicely with Pokemon that have the own tempo ability in a double battle, where you could confuse one of your teammates, and then because of Own Temple's ability to not make Pokemon confused, your Pokemon will only receive the attack buffs from the attack. So definitely a very nice setup move when you're in a double battle. But those are kind of tactics, they're more fitting for doing stuff at the battle frontier than they are in the actual main game playthrough. So, yeah, that's what I want to say on that. So head over here, just moving past this guy here. We can pick up an Ether. It's very nice. Nothing else here. What do you got to say? Whoa, you startled me there. I have my black glasses on, so I didn't notice you at all. What am I doing here? Hey, don't you worry about it. I'll give you a pair of black glasses, so forget you saw me, okay? Let me get black glasses by talking to this guy. Black glass of the power dark type moves. Could be helpful to us, since we do have a dark type on the team. Must be a lot better now, huh? How about showing me your technique in a real battle with me? We are getting so many requests for rematches now. So happy we actually have some people to train against. Yeah, that is another aspect of Swagger that tends to go overlooked. The fact that not only does it increase attack, but it also increases the damage that your Pokemon will deal to itself in confusion. So I've definitely seen some moments in the past where someone got their Pokemon confused and it actually managed to one-shot itself from confusion damage. Like, I'm pretty sure that happened to Alpharad when he was using an Absol that buffed itself up with Swords Dance to max attack, and then it got confused and took itself out in one hit. Ah, man. Alpharad definitely has a lot of very cool Pokemon videos and streams he's done, but there's also been a lot of those kind of moments, you know? Alright, so that should take care of everything we can do in Dark Cave. Now that we're back down here on the lower level. So, let's get out of here. Sahara, you know the way to the exit, right? Just this way. Oh good, we're actually on the Blackthorn side this time. Alright, let's go heal up, and then I think it's time. One final gym awaits, and it's easily going to be our toughest battle yet. At the very least, we got some Pokemon that are close to leveling up, so we're going to get a few more level 37 Pokemon before we do this. This is definitely a battle that I recommend being higher level for, but at the same time, I am ready to roll those dice. Alright, let's do one last look at our Pokemon before we go in here. For Scarab, so I'm gonna switch the muscle band on Sparkles and put that on Scarab. So definitely feel like this is gonna be a bit more useful to us on you. Let's get our big, beefy Beetle here. And what are we gonna give Sparkles? Lock-in, since I'm not really looking for... Black Glasses would be good for buffing Bites damage, but it's not really a priority on you. Choice Scarf would be good to make you faster. That also limits a few of our options, because you have Thunder Wave, and that could be pretty useful against some of the opponents here. I'd actually give you the Quick Claw. That's a chance of having more speed on the opponent, but it should be pretty helpful to us. Sun is good with Charcoal. Yeah, Dottie can keep Miracle Seed. Snorkel's just having Dragon Scale because I feel like it. Might switch that out for the other thing in a bit. Considering what we're going to be going up against, might want to teach a few of our Pokemon some more moves with our TMs. Because there are definitely a few moves that I feel would be useful here. Alright, let's look at our options here. Focus Punch is neat, but I'm not really going to see that as too viable. Sunny Day pairs really good with two of our Pokemon. Yeah, this is useful for both Sun and Dottie. Thinking about it, I'm probably going to teach that to Dottie. And what I'm thinking of forgetting... It has served us a lot in this run, but I think it's time we get rid of Nature Power. It's been pretty useful at getting us to pull attacks from certain types, but going forward, I don't see it being too useful in the battles ahead. Just being able to quickly grant us access to Solar Beam more often, as well as buffing Sun's fire damage, I feel is going to be more useful to us. And I'm also going to teach Ice Beam to Snorkel. It's been a long time coming. We could have taught this move to him so much earlier in this run. But I feel like now's the time. Between our options here, yeah, Brine might actually be useful to keep. Twister is a very low power and really not worth it for the flinch chance. Whereas with Surf and Brine, they work well in tandem, with Brine actually being stronger than Surf if we manage to get an opponent below half health. So yeah, I think we're going to forget Twister for Ice Beam. Could be really handy, given that we could encounter some pretty nasty Pokemon in there that could be really weak to ice damage. Iron Tail I don't see is going to be useful to us. We want to learn Thunderbolt. That would be pretty good. Only Sparkles can learn it, and she's more of a physical attacker, so Fat Chance. Earthquake. We can give that to a few of our Pokemon. Sahara's definitely a priority for this. However, she does learn this naturally by level up, so I'm not going to do that. Shadow Ball, not expecting too much that Ghost would be useful for. Sludge Bomb definitely not going to be good here. Yeah, we might have everything I need here. U-Turn's also a good option. If we could teach that on Scarab, that would be really useful if we need to switch you out. Sadly not. Yeah, that's a downside to Heracross. It doesn't get some good Bug Stab until much later on in the game. Yeah, I feel like that's gonna be it for moveset preparations. This is the loadout we are going with, and I think we're actually going to do pretty well here. Alright. With that out of the way, it is time for the Blackthorn Gym. Hey, buddy. Yo, champ in the making! The gym is unstable footing. Keep your Pokemon in their Pokeballs. Now, Clair used the mythical and sacred Dragon-type Pokemon. You can't damage them very easily, but you know they're supposed to be weak against Ice-type moves. That is what you would expect in a normal Heart Gold and Soul Silver. However, not so much here. So the Blackthorn Gym here has seen a lot of changes in between the different versions. In Gold and Silver, there are strength puzzles that you need to solve in order to be able to cross the lava in this area. But in Heart Gold and Soul Silver, they change things up. So that in order to maneuver through this area, we need to use these platforms in order to make a bridge across. So it definitely is quite interesting how they change things up here. Still a very similar mechanic to how things were before, but at the same time, things are also pretty different. Ooh. So now we're learning close combat on Scarab. Between our move options here, I think it's time to get rid of Headbutt. It served us pretty well before when we needed it, but now's the time for us to really power ourselves up. Yeah, this gym is going to be quite interesting. I don't suspect the gym trainers are going to give too much of a challenge for us, but I am worried beyond belief about what we're going to see at the end of this gym. Wish Cashier is not too bad. We can just have Dottie Solar Beam this thing. Magnitude is interesting. That's a move that can deal as much damage as Earthquake, but it's a pretty low chance. But really nothing too bad here. We should be good as long as this Water Pulse doesn't confuse. There we go. Alright, we beat Paulo. Alright, with Scarab's new attack, you can take a little break here. It's nice that we have two Pokemon with close combat. It's just such a powerful move. It's great to see this on more Pokemon in our party. Alright, looks like the Pokelink is fixed now. So that's good. Definitely want to keep ourselves healthy, so we'll give a super potion to Dottie. And it's time to move on. If you ever need to quickly return to the front of the gym in order to heal up, these platforms are teleporters. You can use those to quickly return to the beginning of the gym. Lola! So what do you got here? Weasel's not too bad. This should be an easy KO. Of course, he got a hit on me with Aqua Jet. Dang priority moves, softening us up before we challenge the gym leader. So yeah, in Vanilla, Gold, and Silver, and the remakes, it's pretty easy to see the Pokemon that you would encounter in this area, as in the original Generation 2 games, there weren't a whole lot of Dragon Pokemon to go around. So what you would see in this area are the Stratini line, as well as the Horsey line. Because, yep, those guys are dragons, even though they don't look like it. Or have the typing for it, but, you know. Oh, come on, son. Don't miss 2 of these things. Of course, your evasiveness is dropping when you were using this move. Seriously, that attack only had a 10% chance of missing, and you missed it twice in a row. Not very good, buddy. Honestly, we should have just went with Flame Wheel against that Weepin' Bell. It's just a Weepin' Bell. We didn't need that much damage. It's alright. This part, want to maneuver this over here. And there we go. Sparkles will heal up your damage in a bit. Let's just make some adjustments to our team here. Just want to spread as much of this experience around as we can before facing the big boss. There you go. Alright, next opponent. It's not as if we all use Dragon-type Pokemon. It's about more than that. We're interested in strong Pokemon. That's my theme. Well, we'll see how the randomizer affects your theme here. Slow. Okay, honestly not that bad of a matchup. But we'll go to Dottie just so we have a better chance here. You can't disable if I didn't do anything. Catch these hands. Right, Payback should be able to finish you off. You are a little bulky, but you should still go down here. Okay, 1 more will do it. Or you could disable me, sure. Nothing we can do with that, so how about we set up Sunny Day? We pretty much only have 1 way to damage this thing, so might as well set up for the next couple of fights. I don't know if we're able to obtain one in the Johto region, but something that'd be really nice is if you had a Heat Rock, which is a special item that makes the weather last longer than it usually does. So pretty much it would give us the ability to... Ugh, I don't like that here. So, when it comes to weather, when the weather is triggered by moves instead of abilities, they only last for 5 turns in battle. However, if you have a certain item, you're able to extend the weather to up to 8 turns, which is certainly helpful for making your team... well, being able to support the team with the weather, which would be pretty useful to you. Do not know if we're able to get those items in Heart Gold and Soul Silver, though, so there's not much we can do on that front. Alright, let's use our last Super Potion on Dottie. And Sparkles can take a Soda Pop. Yeah, I know I'm kind of blowing through a lot of healing items right now, but I'm not taking any chances right now. We have plenty of healing items, so we shouldn't have to worry too much about the fight here, but ugh. I've been training hard with Clair. There's no way I can lose. We'll see about that. Fran. He's got ourselves a Swellow. Definitely nasty for Sun to be out against. Do not want to get hit by a flying move here. Sparkles, you got this. Okay, of course it's going for the double team strat here. Just had to annoy us like that. Come on, cut it out. You're doing nothing but waste our time here. Which is important because I only stream for about 2 hours. Well, looks like we got a follow from Gorilla. Thank you for that. Yes, we are currently playing through Pokemon SoulSilver at the moment. It's a challenge run where we're doing a Nuzlocke run, meaning that if our Pokemon faint, they are gone and we cannot use them again. Come on, can we finally hit this bird? Yeah, I'm not a fan of double team strats. They can just be so obnoxious. We took this thing out. Ew, that's disappointing. Yeah, I agree. Shouldn't have to use such cheap tactics against us. Alright, Sparkles took a little bit of damage there, but that's okay. One more trainer, and then we got the big boss here. Take your soda. Thank you, it's very nice to hear that. I definitely put in a lot of effort on the art here. Just a little thing to add some more personality to our streams, and get to showcase all the Pokemon that have been a part of this journey. It's something I always do with all of my Pokemon playthroughs, just having art of the various Pokemon we obtain on the journey, just getting to show off all their unique characteristics we built with them. Alright, Girafarig here is interesting. It's a normal Psychic type, which gives it some interesting matchups. But one, it's a Psychic type that's actually immune to ghost damage due to it being part normal. And being Psychic also allows it to easily counter fighting types that would target its normal half. Interesting matchup here, but nothing we really have to worry about. And down it goes. Sorry, Girafarig, maybe in a few generations, you'd be strong enough to beat us, but not now. And that's a level up on Sun. Very good to see. Okay, looks like that is the last battle we need to do here. Let's heal up Dottie, and then... here we go. Alright, so if you want to move you over here... now that we're here, want to move up now. It's got a big gap to do here. Then we'll all over here. To maneuver this way. And that gets us to the end. Alright, I know the people of Blackthorn really respect dragons and all that, but couldn't you have made things a little bit easier to navigate through here, Claire? I mean, the lava is a bit much. I know you had lava back in Gold and Silver, but come on. Alright, here we go. I really don't know who's going to be the best lead for this battle. I think Dottie is a good choice, because we can always fake out whatever we go up against first. And setting up Sunny Day would definitely be helpful for the team. But yeah, this is going to be a hard one. Our team could definitely use a few more levels, but I think we might be able to pull this off. Let's do this. I am Clair, the world's best Dragon-type master. I can hold my own against even the Pokemon League's Elite Four. Do you still want to take me on? Fine, let's do this. As a gym leader, I'll use my full power against any opponent. At last we face the Dragon Diva, Clair. First Pokemon here is Regice. Ooh, did not want to see this thing. Especially because this can go boom boom. Let us fake out here. Alright, that flinched. It's real good. Of our potential options here. Scarab and Sun would definitely be the best ones here. A little worried about the potential damage we can receive here. Looks like Sun is probably our best bet if this thing decides to go boom boom. Alright, let's do this. See, I'm definitely worried about this because, as I've been alluding to, these Pokemon can learn a really nasty attack. So the free Reggie Pokemon start off with the move Explosion, one of the most devastating moves in the entire game, which does a whopping 250 base damage at the cost of the Pokemon's own life. However, Regice, I'm not too worried about here because this thing is a special wall, not necessarily a physical wall. It is buffing itself up with Curse, but we might be able to handle this one. Yep, son, let's go all out. Just gotta hope we can do a lot of damage here. Regice doesn't have that much HP. Oh, this is real bad. We got our defense drops here. It keeps buffing itself up with Curse. Given the amount of damage it's going to be healing, I don't know what close combat's going to be able to get the KO. I think we have to go with Blast Burn. Come on, son! We're going to be taking a hit on the next Pokemon, but just hurry! Yeah, there we go! Alright, I'm worried. We're gonna have to take a hit on this next Pokemon, and Sun is at -1 defense and special defense. And it's a Mr. Mime. Oh, this is bad. This is bad. Oh, take it! This is bad. This is bad! Oh! Alright, Claire. You want a battle? I'll give you a fucking battle! Mr. Mime, I'm not too worried about. This thing is mostly a special attacker, and it mostly knows psychic attacks by level up. So I'm gonna set up Sunny Day, just so that we have some additional damage we can do with Sunny Day later in this battle. Yeah, there really was no other play I could have really done for Sun there. Given that the Regice was setting up with Curse, I really need to take it out quickly. And my best option for doing that was with Blast Burn, since it was buffing itself with Curse, and close combat wouldn't have done enough damage. It really all came down to the next Pokemon that Claire was going to send out and strike Sun on the turn where he needed to recharge. And unfortunately, we drew a bad hand in that regard. God. This is rough. Alright, this Mr. Mime is using its last substitute. There's nothing else it can do to us here. So one more payback should finish this. But then what do we got next? We got two other Pokemon after this, and they're also going to be some pretty strong ones. And of course you got Hyper Potion. At least Payback should be able to finish you here. Mr. Mime does not have very good physical defense or HP, so I'm counting... Yeah, there we go. What are we gonna do? Dottie leveled up, so that's nice. Sunlight faded. Here comes Croconaw. Oh! You fool! You have drought, which means the sun comes back! Solar Beam! Get out of here! But with that, there's one Pokemon left to deal with, and it's gonna be a tough one.
Azelf! One Pokemon left. This is where the real battle begins. It just had to be Azelf, the being of willpower from Sinnoh mythology, and also the strongest attacker out of the Sinnoh Lake trio. Nothing much else we can do. Let's go for payback. It's got the tact. Not really expecting too much from this thing. Like, its strongest damage dealing moves are Psychic. So, there's really not much else it should be able to do with Dottie. Yep, one more hit will do it. It's gonna heal up with Citrus Berry. You're kidding, right? I'm supposed to win! I already decided! Yeah, by you having 2 legendary Pokemon. Ugh, screw you, Clair. You're always a tough opponent, but this? This is just wrong. It's over. We have defeated Clair. I lost? I don't believe it. There must be some mistake. I won't concede this. I might have lost, but you're still not ready for the Pokemon League. I know. You should take the Dragon Master Challenge. Behind this gym's a place called Dragon's Den. There's a small shrine at its heart. Go there. If you can prove that you've lost your lazy ideals, I'll admit you are a trainer worthy of a gym badge. So after all that, Clair doesn't even give us our gym badge for rightfully defeating her after everything she put us through. You're very lucky I'm too much of a gentleman to say what I want to say to you, Clair. But it starts with a C and rhymes with blunt. Hi, Mom. I guess we can check what her mom sent us at the store. God, this sucks. Sun has been with us since the very beginning. Aka berries. There really was nothing else that could have been done. We had to take out Regice with our Blast Burn. And there was no way I could have predicted that she would have a Mr. Mime on her team. Man, this sucks. This really does suck. Sun was with us since the very beginning. It's been just an incredible ally throughout this adventure. He easily could have made it all the way to the end. But fate had other plans. You could have been amazing, son. We're gonna win this for you, man. I promise. Yeah, there is that. We've only received 2 fatalities in this entire run. What are we gonna do next? I really don't feel like going into the next dungeon right now after what we have been through. I definitely got some time to prepare, just look through our options, see which Pokemon is going to be most helpful for the next leg of the game, because
Believe it or not, we also got some more tough battles in the near future. Yeah, I'll decide what our 6th teammate's gonna be before the next session. Man, this truly is awful. We don't even have our last gym badge because Clair isn't going to give it to us. Yeah, I'm definitely considering Moltres. But that's going to be in a little bit. I think now is a good time as any to just stop. I just don't feel in a good emotional spot right now to continue on. Yeah, it's alright. You spelt it good. God, I can't think of the last run I did where I actually lost my starter in a Nuzlocke. This is so rough. And it's not like if we had more levels, it would have helped that much. So we were at -1 special defense, and it was a super effective side beam coming from a Mr. Mime. Yeah. Just seemed like no matter what we did, unless Clair sent out another Pokemon, Sun would still be alive. I mean, her other option was a Croconaut that might have had something that could have taken out Sun. And obviously, Azelf would have also, most likely... God, it just feels like no matter what I did, that Regice coming out first was always going to guarantee to take one of our Pokemon out. Yeah, I know, Sahara. So, yep, I think we're gonna call it here. It's definitely got some time to prepare for the next leg of our journey, and I want to make sure we are in a good emotional state for that. But next time, we're gonna finally get our last badge. And then we're gonna see what else awaits us in the Johto region. Thank you for watching, and take care.